Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to this PTV special in which we are going to highlight the recent days in which a lot of tensions erupted between Pakistan and Iran. We all know what happened on the 16th and how Pakistan responded on the 18th as well. Despite those tensions, all seems to go in the right direction because of the different statements that have emanated from both the sides and also the commitment from both the brotherly and friendly countries to move forward in an arena of cooperation and in an arena of friendly relations. To talk about those days and what needs to be done by both countries under the current circumstances, we've been joined by Senator Mushahid Hussain. He's the chairman of the Senate Standing Committee on Defense. Thank you very much, Senator Saab, to have joined us.
Thank you so much.
You're more than welcome, sir. I'd like to begin with your recent visit to Iran. You were on the 23rd of December last year in Iran to participate in an important conference. What was the basic ambiance as far as Pakistan-Iran relations like at that time? Because that was just a few weeks before this happened.
I was in Tehran representing the government of Pakistan and the people of Pakistan at an international conference on Palestine, which had been convened by the Iranian Foreign Ministry, and I was representing Pakistan. There were 66 other countries, and I was very pleased that the overall content, the overall ambiance of Pakistan-Iran relations never seemed so good. Pakistan was warmly received. I met their president, their foreign minister. I was put on the podium, was one of the major keynote speakers, and also they said that the cooperation is advancing forward, especially border management, and they mentioned the visit of the Army Chief General Asim Munir Shah Saab, and it was a very good visit. And they said that we have already dealt with him before as DG ISI, so we have a comfort level of communication, and we feel that relations are on the right track. And at that time, the DG Anti-Narcotics Force was visiting. There were trade delegations being exchanged. So everything seemed to be moving forward, and there seemed to be a lot of goodwill for Pakistan. And of course, whatever issues there may be, they would be resolved through dialogue and diplomacy.
I understand that. Now, Senator Saab, Pakistan and Iran were holding joint naval exercises in Hormuz and the Persian Gulf. And our caretaker, Prime Minister Nawaz Kakar Saab, had met with the Iranian Foreign Minister at the World Economic Forum as well. And then the strike by Iran happens, and of course, Pakistan then responds 2 days later on the 18th, because this from the Iranian side, it is on the 16th, and then Pakistan responds on the 18th. How do you see those days, and how do you feel were the statements at the same time emanating from both the sides? Because despite these tensions, there was a genuine desire by both the countries to remain friendly, to work together.
Frankly, when the Iranian attack happened, I was flabbergasted. It was quite a rude shock. And of course, that created a new situation, and frankly, a unique kind of crisis. Unique crisis because there were 3 specific challenges which were of an extraordinary nature. Number one, it was a totally unexpected surprise attack. Secondly, it emanated not from an adversary, not from an enemy, but from a friendly neighbor with whom we have never had this experience before. And thirdly, it was a big challenge for Pakistan's leadership to respond in a manner defending your state sovereignty and territorial integrity without allowing the crisis to spin out of control or making it into a bigger issue. So that was a very big challenge. And I would say that our leadership met that challenge with flying colors. We saw in the process deft diplomacy, nuanced statements. We saw mature media messaging. And for the Army Chief, General Asim Munir, and his military high command, this was a big challenge to have a very carefully calibrated military response that would send the message to Iran and also a larger message to others who may have such thoughts, perhaps, because we don't live in a friendly neighborhood, that this is a red line. But without jingoism, without creating an atmosphere which is warlike, and accomplishing the mission successfully. And I think it was done in a superb manner, and it shows that the system works in terms of coordination. And perhaps in some of the military academies, this will become a textbook model of crisis management and crisis resolution. That's how it was done, step 1, step 2, step 3, and within 72 hours, things had been diffused. So I think the manner of this handling, I would say it was one of Pakistan's finest hours in a crisis affecting the national security of Pakistan. And it also brought the armed forces, the different departments of the government of Pakistan, and the people of Pakistan together to face this challenge. But it also showed to the outside world that the people of Pakistan, the leader of Pakistan, leadership of Pakistan, there is a strong sense of responsibility and maturity in handling crisis. I remember the saying of the great writer Ernest Hemingway. He said the definition of courage, is grace under pressure. How do you respond under pressure? Do you knuckle in there? Your nerves collapse? Or you panic and overreact? So it has to be very, very careful. You know, it's like make sure it doesn't reach the boiling point, but ensure that the level is correct. And I think that was, it couldn't have been a better job done.
I totally agree with you, and I think all our forces and our diplomacy need to be applauded for that, as you very ably said. Looking at Pakistan, Iran...
I think it's a time for national self-congratulations.
I think that is the time, definitely. And I think, as you said, this will be a textbook case in the different academies to understand how to deal with crises such as this. Looking at the tangent of relations between Pakistan and Iran, you who understands that much better than a novice like myself, would you like to highlight some of the important aspects of this strong brotherly relation between Pakistan and Iran and how both countries have been there for each other?
You see, I've had exposure to Iran and the region because before being in the parliament, I was basically in the media. I'm a pressman, a journalist. So as a journalist, I had the opportunity of traveling in the region, outside the region, and of course, countries like Iran, China, Afghanistan, and India have been areas of my specialization, naturally, because they are our neighbors. From the Iranian side, I think that we have had a very good track record of relationship. Iran was the first country to recognize Pakistan when we became independent. And then during the two wars, 1965 and 1971, Iran provided us with strategic depth because our planes, the PIA planes, were shifted from Pakistan because the Indians were bombing Pakistan to Iran. So we could feel that there's secure borders there and they're friendly borders there. And we don't have to worry on that front. And on issues of Kashmir, on other issues of Pakistan's core interests, Iran has been supportive, very supportive. And also this economic interaction. And above all, we have had a history and heritage, which is common as one common thing is what the Iranians call Iqbal-e-Lahori, Allama Iqbal, whose poetry, who's virtually a national poet of Iran also, while being the poet-philosopher of Pakistan. So that's also a common bond, Iqbal, that legacy, that vision, the philosophy of the great poet of the East. And from Pakistan also, under every government, irrespective of political parties, whether it's a military government or a civilian government, Pakistan has ensured that Pakistan will not do anything against the interests of Iran. And I'll give you a few examples. I was a journalist editor of the Muslim, which was the premier national daily of Pakistan in the 80s and 90s, and I was the chief editor of that newspaper. And I still remember I interviewed and I talked to President Ziaul at that time, and he mentioned to me that in 1984, at that time, Pakistan and America were very close in the Afghan jihad. There was the Iraq-Iran war. There was a lot of polarization. The revolution in Iran had taken place in 1979. And there was the Americans, through their then Vice President, President Herbert Walker Bush, Bush Sr., the father of George W. Bush, he came as Vice President to Pakistan, and he said, and there was discussions whether Pakistan could open a second front, destabilize Iran from this side. And President Zia said, there's no way we will do that. We will be a party to that, because Iran's interests are our interests. And conversely, despite opposition and isolation of Iran at that time, there was global opposition to Iran, there was isolation of Iran at that time. President Ziaul invited the president of Iran, Sayyid Ali Khamenei, to Pakistan in 1986, July. Because I remember I was there at the banquet for him as editor of the Muslim. And it was an amazing thing. And Mr. Khamenei, who is now the rebel, the supreme leader, he made a 1-hour-long speech in Lahore on Iqbal-e-Lahori. They call it Iqbal-e-Lahori, Iqbal from Lahore. And then in 87, there was an incident, because we talk of terrorism, very few people know that. There were some Iranian dissidents holed up in Karachi. They had crossed over the border from the Mujahideen-e-Khalq. And the Iranian side sent 2 hit squads to, and they gunned them down. But they were also captured by our security forces. And our government decided, and it was President Ziaul Haq, that no, we will keep quiet on that. Okay, they have done what is wrong. They have done in the borders, within the borders of Pakistan, but Iran is a friendly country, so we'll overlook that. So, and even in the days of General Musharraf, I remember there was this Iran-Pakistan-India pipeline, and India withdrew from that, backed out under US pressure. Pakistan did not. Pakistan maintained that because the Indians were offered the nuclear deal, and in lieu of that, they gave up the Iran pipeline. But we stuck to that. And in the United Nations also, and in the United States, in Washington, D.C., where I studied in Georgetown University as a student, I went there a year ago and I was talking, and the ambassador said, I'm very busy because the Iranian interest section is part of the embassy of Pakistan. So we represent Iranian interests in Washington, D.C. So that is the amount of trust and confidence and the pivotal role that Pakistan plays to promote, preserve, and protect the interests of Iran, even in the United States of America.
I think that's a very apt example, and that shows the level to which both countries have been there for each other and have supported each other, and especially from the Pakistani side. I'd like to refer to a tweet that you posted very recently, in which you say, and I'll quote you, "Now that the crisis is behind us, amicably diffused, time for stock taking and what will truly be counted amongst Pakistan's finest hours in handling a national security crisis." How do you explain stock taking? What needs to be done now?
You see, because first of all, you know, in the days of, there's a lot of doom and gloom often spread by the social media and others, and people start wringing their hands, what will happen, and oh, will we be able to cope with it? And sometimes we have little self-confidence, and we feel that we can't figure it out or we can't cope with that. I think this is a good example how successfully our system worked in coordination. So let's at least acknowledge, if not celebrate, this success. Because, as I say, all's well that ends well. And even what the action we took, even the Iranians said there were no Iranian collateral damage. So it was very specific, targeted, focused, and as they say, tuck, 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 and then we said fine, because we had no other ulterior design. The stock taking is necessary because to ensure that what happened on the 16th and 17th should not recur. See, Iran is not India. Iran is a friendly, brotherly neighbor. And you can see all statements that came. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the Inter-Services Public Relations, ISPR, other important leaders of the government of Pakistan, even the public of Pakistan. Nobody talked in very negative terms about Iran. They talked of respect, love and affection for the Iranian people and the bonds of solidarity that unite us. So when we are dealing with this situation, it's important that the issues that have come to the fore be discussed frankly across the conference table, and both sides know what the red lines are. For us, it's very clear. We have already stated the obvious. When Pakistan's sovereignty is involved, and for us, the paramount issue is combating and crushing and containing terrorism. We are the biggest victims of terrorism in the 21st century. 80,000 Pakistanis, soldiers and civilians, children, women and men have been martyred because of terrorism. We paid a very heavy price, more than any other country in the world. So we know what terrorism is and how serious a scourge this is. So in that regard, when there's a common challenge for Iran also, for Pakistan also, that means it requires coordination. And that is also in that famous agreement they signed with Pakistan in February 2013, the Pakistan-Iran Security Agreement. It was signed in the days of the Pakistan People's Party government. And that also talks of collaboration, and it talks of coordination, and it talks of cooperation. So it doesn't talk of unilateralism. It doesn't talk of surprise attacks. So it's important that common threats be tackled collectively by the two countries.
You also talk of three very important things, and I'd like to highlight them and ask for your point of view. In the same message that you post, you talk about deft diplomacy, mature media messaging, and calibrated, measured military response that accomplished the objective without jingoism. And of course, you gave due credit to our caretaker foreign minister, to our chief of the army staff, and to our caretaker information minister as well. Deft diplomacy, mature media messaging, and a measured military response. How important were these 3 points during this current crisis and in any crisis in your point of view?
You see, any crisis, especially of a national security kind, and Pakistan, since Pakistan is an open society, it's a democratic country, and there's a very lively media also, there's an institutional base also. So the response is not singular from one side, and you can't compartmentalize the response. That okay, or say there are different segments. So it has to be a whole of system approach. That there is a challenge, it has to be met collectively. So the dots have to connect. The dot of diplomacy, of media messaging, and of the military response, which is the key one. The core aspect, of course, is the military response, because the instrument through which Pakistan's interests will be defended has to be ultimate analysis. It has to be the firepower which was used. And that was also after every other option was exhausted. Had there been a remorse, had there been a regret expressed, or an apology of sorts, perhaps it would not have come to that. But since we waited and then we responded, and that's why the response was taken in stride by the Iranian side and also by the international community.
One thing that is very important, Senator Saab, is what you also mentioned, and that is the working of the system. How important is it for a system like that in Pakistan to work effectively to A, counter any threats that emanate nationally or internationally from our borders, and B, to also give that message nationally and internationally that Pakistan is a state that needs to be reckoned with and cannot be dealt with in any negative way whatsoever?
See, first of all, we have to see what Pakistan is all about. Pakistan is a very key state in the most important geostrategic part of the world. Actually, it's where we are located. This is the global center of gravity now, in terms of geopolitical competition, in terms of geoeconomic connectivity, in terms of issues like terrorism, issues like conflicts, issues that are of climate change, all kinds of issues. They somehow converge in our region. So we are in the eye of the storm, so to speak. So our role has to be extremely responsible, because we are the only Muslim nuclear power also. And they are watching each step of Pakistan like a hawk. And generally there has been complaints from our own people, from other side, that you guys are very incompetent. Your system doesn't work. And your system doesn't coordinate well when it comes to issues. But here, and we are talking of a caretaker government. It's not even a formally elected government. So, you know, it's a government in transition to the elections which are going to be held next month, inshallah. So in that context, all the cogs in the machine, the elements of the system worked in, I think with, I would say, clockwork precision. And nothing was out of line. It was faultless, it was seamless, it was superbly handled with a lot of sophistication and subtlety also. And without creating a big hullabaloo, that or making a big noise out of it. So I think that shows maturity, and that shows that the system works. And I think good, and as a Pakistani, I'm proud of that fact.
And this message also goes across to all our unfriendly neighbors.
Yes, absolutely. Don't you ever think that Pakistan is a pushover. We ain't no pushover. And if you do that, we'll hit back. We have the capability, we have the intention, and we have the skill to do that.
That is so true. Now, Senator Saab, I'd like to also refer to two tweets that were posted by the Iranian ambassador in Pakistan, Ambassador Raza Amiri. The first one talks about the two brotherly, friendly and neighborly countries of Iran and Pakistan, who have always supported each other in different arenas and hard times during history, with common threats and interests, all-out potentialities and opportunities. Bilateral ties don't tolerate any lag and delay. Bilateral ties don't tolerate any lag and delay. This is the last part, and I'd like to decipher that for me as a journalist and as somebody who understands relations and Iran and Pakistan better than I do.
You see, Mr. Raza Amiri, His Excellency the Ambassador of the Islamic Republic of Iran, has been in Pakistan for a few months. I know him quite well. I've had the privilege of being hosted by him at luncheon with the delicious Iranian cuisine, the chilo kebab, the juje kebab, the mahi kebab, because Iranian cuisine is very healthy and very delicious. So, and he comes from a very important position. He was vice chair of the National Security Council, and he knows the Iranian system and the Iranian security establishment very well. And we have had very cordial rapport and discussing issues and how to take things forward. And what it really means is that the time has come for Pakistan and Iran to seize the moment, to seize the opportunity, because there is a window of opportunity for moving forward together in a region that has been now transformed. There is no war on terror, there are no American troops in Afghanistan. The region is moving towards regional connectivity, and Pakistan is at the hub of this regional connectivity through the CPEC, China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, through TAPI, the Turkmenistan, Afghanistan, Pakistan, India pipeline, through the Iran-Pakistan pipeline. So it's all about coordination and cooperation among the regional countries and neighbors, economy, energy, ports, pipelines, roads, railways. So a whole new world is opening up. And Pakistan and Iran need to play their respective roles and together, because our objectives are common. We are part of the ECO, Economic Cooperation Organization. We are part of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. and we have common interests. And frankly, there is no fundamental conflict of interest between Pakistan and Iran. We are not fighting over any disputed territory or the other conflicts. And we have a common vision of Islamic solidarity also on issues.
That is true. Senator Saab, another tweet that was posted by the ambassador of the Islamic Republic of Iran also talks about Iran's commitment to territorial integrity of Pakistan. It begins with that. Then he talks about threats like terrorism are common, also interests, uniquely non-competitive interests and complementary economy provides a fertile ground to promote geoeconomy, security and welfare in region. Promotion of geoeconomy, welfare and security in region. How important are these two players, Pakistan and Iran, to further that cause?
See, interestingly, there are some new developments which are very positive for both sides. In last year, for example, there was the Iran-Saudi Arabia rapprochement,
Yes.
brokered by China. So we were very happy over that. We had been trying in the past also, because both are brotherly countries for us. Saudi Arabia, we have a special relationship.
True.
Iran, a very close, friendly neighbor. So that is one. And then we also feel that the Iran-China strategic agreement last year was very important, because China is our best friend also. And if China is there playing a role inside Iran, that's positive for us. And that's positive for the region. So in that regard, geoeconomics, which also means not just Iran and Pakistan, but also includes the Central Asian republics, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, all these landlocked countries, they want to be land-linked through Pakistan via the port of Gwadar. So, and they also have good economic ties with Iran and China. So I would say that the overall concept of this region is being transformed for the good through geoeconomics, through trade and connectivity. And I think that Pakistan and Iran need to seize the moment, seize the opportunity, together with other countries in the region.
That's true. Now, speaking of other countries in the region and speaking of our a very, very close country, and that is the People's Republic of China, whose Vice Foreign Minister Sun Weidong is in Pakistan as we speak. He has given a statement that says that China reaffirms the support to Pakistan's sovereignty and territorial integrity. At the same time, if we go a little bit in the past, when this crisis was upon us, the role of China, the statements that emanated from the Chinese Foreign Office spokesperson, then the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres, Turkey, US, Russia had been important in that context. How do you see these reactions that emanated when this crisis began on the 16th? And how important is also the Chinese role to further development and strengthen relations between not only China and Pakistan, but also Pakistan-Iran?
Well, you know, when the crisis erupted after the Iranian attack on Pakistan on 16th, the first statement that came internationally was from China. And China, because China was very concerned that two countries who are neighbors of each other and who are friends of China, they should not be embroiled in any kind of a conflict that can be detrimental to peace, stability and security of the region, in which China is also a part, Iran is also a part, Pakistan is also a part. So China had a genuine concern, along with other friends you mentioned, Turkey also, and I would say Central Asian countries, and even Saudi Arabia and Qatar were, and other Arab countries were also concerned. So China's role is, I think, pivotal in promoting this peace and stability in that, and also in promoting cooperation among those countries. And if you remember, it was Pakistan which invited China in March 2022 at the OIC Foreign Ministers Conference. Mr. Wang Yi, the Foreign Minister of China, came, spoke for the first time at a platform of the OIC, a Muslim world platform. And it was soon after that, then they had this, around the same time they had this rapprochement with Iran and Saudi Arabia. So Pakistan, China is very close to all these countries.
And I think there's a genuine desire by China to promote peace and stability between those countries that are in the region, and that can further strengthen the region as well. I think apart from the other players that don't want that stability either in Pakistan or in other countries, but I think China's concern is genuine. China's desire for strengthening the region is very genuine.
See, what do you expect from a friend? What do you expect from a neighbor? If there's a conflict, you douse the flames.
True.
You don't fan the fires. If you're not a friend, then you'll fan the fires. You'll try to exploit the situation. You'll try to draw cleavages. That's not China.
True.
Because China is a sincere and genuine friend of both Pakistan and Iran, and China is part of the region also. What happens here will affect China also, sooner or later.
True. Senator Saab, the NSC meeting was also held following Pakistan's response to Iran, and there are 2 points in that I'd like your point of view on. The first concerns addressing mutual security concerns and multiple communication channels that need to be mutually utilized to address each other's concerns in the security domain. How can we utilize the multiple communication channels in your point of view? Somebody who understands this better than many of us do.
See, the multiple communication channels include the channel of diplomacy between the two foreign ministries, the channel between the security organizations, the military channels also. In fact, after the visit of the Army Chief General Asim Munir, there had been an agreement to have security personnel of Iran stationed in Taftan and Pakistan stationed in Zahedan for better coordination. I think, and now that this was a major military test also for our military high command, and they passed it so successfully in a very smooth manner, I feel that it's important that both countries reset those channels and ensure those channels work. And perhaps it would be a good idea to have this hotline. We have a hotline between the DGMOs of Pakistan and India. In case of the crisis, I think we should have a similar hotline, whether on the foreign ministry side or perhaps on the military or security side, established for a rapid response mechanism to diffuse any potential crisis.
I think
because the lessons are very clearly there for us, and neither sides wants aggravation, neither side wanted any escalation. Both sides are keen for a close cooperative relationship. Hence, since they say the intention of both is positive, the resolution was also swift.
All right. They also, emphasize dialogue and diplomacy and overcoming minor irritants through these two methods to pay.
I'm very happy that the term minor irritants was used. This shows also that we are not looking at the situation because the relationship is long.
It's
the
strong.
Relationship is strong. It's substantive. And one incident or one accident or one miscalculation or one wrong step should not destabilize or undermine this strong bond that is spread over decades. So I think that's a very key thing, and that Iran is not India, and we know that. And yes, countries make mistakes, countries make miscalculations, countries sometimes make wrong reactions, or maybe within the countries, within the governments, there are elements sometimes they are not in anybody's control and they spin out of control and they act and with the trigger-happy adventurism. We are aware of that. So, but once the wrong is rectified, which it was, so let's move on.
When you look at addressing concerns and you said that the wrongs need to be dealt with properly, and they have been. There are certain parties, especially non-state actors, that try always to take advantage of such situations. How can both Pakistan and Iran effectively deal with such non-state actors that could, further aggravate situations, because this is what they are looking at, to destabilize the region and to destabilize countries that look for peace and stability like Pakistan or Iran?
You see, countries who are neighbors, who have close interests, they can have concerns which need to be met. With India and Pakistan, there was an agreement signed in the days of General Ziaul Haq, and that was to exchange lists of nuclear installations so that neither India attacks Pakistan's nuclear installations, neither Pakistan attacks Indian nuclear installations. So those lists are exchanged every year on 1st. So they are aware these are the areas and these are no-go areas. So I think perhaps Pakistan and Iran should sit down together through their intelligence or security organizations, and like our side knows where the camps of the terrorists are located. We knew those camps. I think there were 3 of them. We knew the precise location, the venue, the names of the organizations, and even the persons the terrorists who were hiding out there, who were then taken out. So if that is the precision of intelligence information, and if Iran has similar concerns, I think perhaps we should sit down together so we jointly eradicate the root cause of this problem of terrorism. Because we in Pakistan, after all those experiences, and we've learned from our mistakes also in the past, and especially after what happened in Peshawar Army Public School incident, that was a turning point.
Of course. Also the beginning of the National Action Plan.
And the National Action Plan, which was done with full political support and the support of the armed forces. So the armed forces and the political forces are absolutely united in their resolve to stamp out terrorism from their roots. So let's do it together with Iran also. So this problem does not recur. Because those who are killing our own people, we have no interest in giving succor to them, and neither would the Iranians be, because these terrorists are killers of innocent people, and they have designs which are destabilizing for the respective unity and territorial integrity of the states of Pakistan and Iran respectively.
Mr. Mushahid Hussain Saeed, I'd like to also refer to 2 recent statements. The first, that our caretaker Prime Minister Nawaz Kakar Sahab said while addressing his cabinet, and he said that Pakistan is a law-abiding and peace-loving country and seeks friendly and cooperative relations with all countries, particularly its neighbors. Then comes a statement by the Foreign Ministry of Iran that says Iran adheres to the policy of good neighborliness and brotherhood between the 2 nations and the 2 governments. Of course, here it was talking of Pakistan and Iran. How do you see these 2 statements? And how important is this resolve, not only internally between the 2 countries, to show each other that we are here for you, but also to show the world that Pakistan and Iran are strong countries and are strong brothers that remain, whose friendship or brotherly relations remain steadfast despite occurrences like what happened?
I think it's very important to understand that with countries like Iran or Turkey or China, it's not just a bond or a relationship between 2 states or 2 governments or institutions. It's a people-to-people bond also. So that bond has to be so this is a multifaceted relationship. And multifaceted relationship based on compatibility of interests and complementary visions for a better tomorrow for the region. A peaceful and a prosperous tomorrow for the people of Iran, for the people of Pakistan, and the people for the region at large. So given that context, and that is a very strong ground for close collaboration on issues which might have been contentious in the past, to take them head on and resolve them with that vision and the will to do it. And at least from the Pakistani side, we have demonstrated that will on resolving issues, on defending the national interest, and on ensuring that in this process, relations which are long-standing are not damaged. So all this was achieved by the grace of the Almighty in a very successful manner.
Do you also feel
and
that
it was a major military test for us? Also, it was a major diplomatic test for us also. And it was a major test for our, I would say, not just for the government and the media, but also for the society as a whole. And I think that we rose to the occasion. As it reminds me of a saying of the Qaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah, after the creation of Pakistan. He said, let it not be said that we did not prove ourselves equal to the task. I think in this Iran crisis, short-lived crisis, 72-hour crisis, we proved ourselves equal to the task. Our national leadership, our institutions, and our people.
Finally, Senator Saab, how do you look forward to the relations between Pakistan and Iran and Pakistan's deterrence in any aspect of any organization or any non-state actor or country, or I mean whatever party it be that tries to divide Pakistan, that tries to work on destabilizing Pakistan? Do you feel the way Pakistan responded on the 18th was also a very good message to all those who might be trying in the coming days, and with particular reference to our unfriendly neighbors, that you can try whatever you want, you will be equally dealt with, or if not in a better manner? Do you feel Pakistan has put its point across?
You see, Pakistan is basically a very peace-loving country. And we, in fact, are a victim of circumstances. As the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres always says, that we do so much for the international community, for global peace building, for building a more equitable and peaceful order. But sometimes we are at the receiving end because of geopolitics. And I think that the Quaid-e-Azam had said about Pakistan's role, that our foreign policy would be peace within and peace without. But Pakistan cannot be trifled with by any country, because we do not accept that size equals strength. We reject the notion of might is right. For us, right is might. And let me give you an example. You mentioned in 2011, there was a NATO attack on Salalah Post. 28 Pakistani soldiers were martyred. And I was then in the Parliamentary Committee on National Security. At that time, the issue was put before us that let the Parliament decide the terms of engagement. And I remember the Americans came to us, NATO people. They said, what, we can give you compensation. How much money do you want? Because there are 28 people. I said, we don't want money. It's not about money. You have transgressed. It is an act of aggression. Our people have been martyred. We want the wrong to be reversed. And the only way to reverse is through an apology. They said, oh, we can't apologize, we never do. Well, we said then, forget it. The ground lines of communication, GLOCs, the NATO supply lines, were closed for 7 months. And when they apologized, we opened it. 5 years ago, February 2019, there was an incident in Indian-occupied Kashmir. And Mr. Modi had an election coming up.
Like he has right now.
Yes, and he tried to use it. And they attacked Pakistan. They did not cross the line of control. It was attack on Pakistan in Balakot. Within 24 hours, we shot down 2 of their planes and captured their pilot. Because we said this is a red line. Similarly, whether it's Pulwama or whether it's Panjgur, the message is loud and clear. Somebody asked me after Panjgur, oh, what is going to happen? Is there going to be war? I said, no. Sometimes countries test other countries. They try to act like a bully. And then if you blink, then they browbeat you. But if you don't blink and you hit back, then they pull back. And the situation is normalized. I told that Western journalists that you will see situation will be diffused, nothing will happen. They will take it lying down because they are in the wrong and we are in the right. Not that we want to score a point, but it's a question of adhering to norms of international behavior based on the United Nations Charter, the international law, where sovereignty and territorial integrity of states is sacrosanct. Otherwise, it will become a law of the jungle.
And I think Pakistan's role has been very important in those times and in these times as well. And it has, ably
So the larger
demonstrated.
message is there.
Yes.
So the message has been registered, I'm sure, loud and clear in the region and beyond.
Exactly. And I think
so that's good. And
yes, effective messaging, as you yourself said, also in your tweet. Thank you very much, Senator Mushahid Hussain Sayyid Sahab, to have joined us, to have talked to us about the crisis that emanated between Iran and Pakistan and how it was very ably diffused through the correct mechanisms. And how not only has it been diffused, but there is a genuine desire by both the countries to forge the relationship, the friendship between the two countries to another level. And let's see what the coming months and weeks have in store for both countries. But at the same time, I feel, and I'm sure you'd agree with me, that Pakistan has also been able to give the message to all those who might have that intention to destabilize Pakistan through one means or another, that look, we have demonstrated in this case, and we can demonstrate even more ably in other cases if you try any untoward method whatsoever in the coming days.
I have no doubt that the message has been registered loud and clear.
I totally agree
to
with
all
you.
concerned.
I agree with you. With that, we come, ladies and gentlemen, to this end of this very special interview with Senator Mushahid Hussain Sayyid. It was important in this current context to have a point of view on not only the relationship between Pakistan and Iran, the past, the present, and what lies ahead, but also to understand Pakistan's perspective from the point of view of someone who has been there, who has been part of forging relations, and who understands Pakistan like not many do. So I really like to thank you for that, this exclusive, and I hope to see more of your presence in international fora as far as forging ties.
Anything we can do to promote the interests of Pakistan, we are always there.
All right, definitely. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, to have joined us for this exclusive. We'll be back with more exclusives as and when the situation demands it. Umar Khalbat bids you farewell from this very special episode on PTV. And thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much. All the best.